Hello, everybody. This is Mark, and this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? We're talking about the impeachment trial today, which has been going for the last couple of days, and it's been going pretty much the way that we have all thought it was going to go. It's pretty much a dumpster fire. It's a shit show, right? Um, Now I know that most people out there are not watching it. To be honest, I tried watching it. I can't. It's boring as hell. But I'm powering through it and I'm looking up and finding summaries of what's happening and shit like that. And it's this kind of thing is very dry and boring and uneventful, kind of on purpose. Um, Especially because they don't want you to watch it. The Republicans, they don't want you to watch it, right? They don't, and that's just. But the other reason being is because that's just how these things go. That's how business is done in the Senate. It's not a sexy thing. It's a bunch of old men sitting around talking to people who aren't listening, right? And there's no reason why this would be any different. When people think trials, they imagine something like Perry Mason or some shit, or Law and Order or whatever, and they think that some surprise witness is going to break in at the last minute, and all the truths will be revealed, and then the guy on the stand is going to break down crying and admit that he did it. No, that's not how in real life how trials work. Trials are boring as hell. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever done jury duty. I get chosen for jury duty all the time because the way they choose it is by, they use the voting rolls in California. So if you're registered to vote, then you know, get selected to be a juror. A lot happens a lot. Usually happens around my birthday, which is funny. Um, so yeah, boring as hell. But we all kind of knew that was going to be the thing. But here's the thing, right? Is that the Republicans have a vested interest in making it long and boring because they don't want people to watch because they don't want people to know how much they've kind of like rigged it. They've screwed up the process and are basically rigging it in they're giving every conceivable advantage to the president and his defense so that when they all in lockstep vote to acquit and not convict, then they can turn around and say, well, this is why we did, because XYZ. Right. So, let's just give a quick recap of what's going on, because this is like day three, day four. Is it day 3 or 4? I don't know. I think it started on Monday, so this would be, yeah, day 4. And the first day was pretty much them all debating processes and procedures, right? And the reason why that's important is because Mitch McConnell basically from the outset um, turned this around and has been rigging it for Republicans from the very beginning, right? One of the things was that they didn't want to allow any witnesses until after both sides gave their opening arguments, right? And well, why is that? Okay, so like they didn't want them to debate whether they should allow witnesses until after opening arguments. Like why? Why? It's doesn't make any that doesn't make any sense. Like why not put the witnesses at the beginning? You know, no, they no. So this is how it's going to work, right? His original Mitch McConnell's original proposal was that they would have each side would have 24 hours to give their side, to give their opening arguments, and that would be stretched over 2 days, right? So basically 12 hours a day, right? So if you start at 8 a.m., which you won't, then it's going to go until 8 p.m. But more likely, they're not going to start until 12 or 1 because the opening, the opening couple of hours are going to be like people stalling and shit like that. So that way it'll go late into the night. And that's the reason why he did it. He did it like that on purpose because he wanted it to go late at night so that nobody would be watching, right? And that's exactly what happened. On Tuesday or Monday, the first day, it went all the way until 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, right? Nobody's watching at 2 a.m. Okay, and he knows that even if they do broadcast it, no one's going to be sitting there watching this boring ass fucking trial, right, of a bunch of old men, talking loudly at each other. No, nobody's paying attention. That's the whole reason why. So they did manage to get that stretched over 3 days. So okay, now they have 3 days to present their shit. Which you would think, in a real trial, there wouldn't be a time limit. So you got to remember, this is not a real trial. This impeachment thing, it's not like, any actual real trial that you would, go on trial for whatever crime that you did, anything from, like defending a traffic ticket or even going on trial for murder, something like that. No, it's not the same thing. There's you don't get to make up like when you have a normal trial, the defense and the prosecution, they don't get to make up the rules as they go along like this. That's basically what's going on here. So anyway, yeah. So they the second thing was that his original proposal was that they weren't going to allow any witnesses until after this, right? After this 24 hours over 3 days where they present their opening arguments, then they'll debate whether they're going to allow witnesses, right? Well, why? Why? Because they know that by that point, no one's going to be paying attention. So when all the Republicans vote to not allow witnesses, it's not going to be that big of a shock. If they just did that in the opening day of the trial, right? If they said, okay, item number one, do we allow witnesses? Take a vote, right? And then all the Republicans vote to not allow witnesses. They know that's going to be the big headline that first day. So now that's going to happen on like Friday or even Monday. And it's not going to be that big of a thing, right? Because by that point, most people have checked out already and they won't be paying attention. It's ridiculous. So that whole first day on Monday was the Democrats proposing amendments, 11 different amendments, right? And all day it was just them arguing about, hey, we should allow these amendments. And there were amendments to allow documents from different places, the Defense Department, the White House, the Office of Management and Budget OMB, subpoenas. So what it is they have to vote on whether they're going to send a subpoena to get new documents for new evidence, right? And all of those were voted down, all of them. Republicans, here's the thing, because the Republicans have 53 to 47, so they have an unbreakable majority, and they just voted to strike all of that. So there's not going to be any additional evidence at all. Okay. Ridiculous, right? Then also two amendments to get testimony from John Bolton or Mick Mulvaney. Both of those were voted down as well, right? There was a rumor going around that they might allow John Bolton to testify in secret if the Democrats allowed them to call Joe Biden, right? Which is, that was rejected. And there's video of Adam Schiff going, no, we don't trade witnesses, right? But think about that. Why would you want that, right? What does Joe Biden have to do with the crime that Donald Trump committed? Like, not much, okay? Not anything. I mean, that's his excuse is that, yeah, we were trying to investigate corruption in Ukraine, which is bullshit, right? But even if that was true, even if he was, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're actually let's say Joe Biden and Hunter Biden did the thing that Trump is saying that he did, right? That Joe Biden actually tried to get a prosecutor fired who was investigating his son, which is bullshit because that's not what happened in real life. Joe Biden wanted to fire that investigator because they were not investigating corruption. Not because they were, but because they weren't. Okay, you got to understand that. All right. It's bullshit. That's a bullshit excuse. But anyway, let's say he actually did it. Let's say that bullshit was not bullshit and that it was true. That really still is irrelevant to whether or not Donald Trump committed this crime. Whether or not Donald Trump, right, got pressured the president of the Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden, that's irrelevant to whether or not Joe Biden actually did the crime. People got to understand that shit. It's still wrong. It's like a crooked cop bribing a witness to, convict someone that you know is guilty. Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the guy's guilty. That's still wrong. You still can't do that. It's still against the law. Right. And it just so happens in this case the guy's not guilty. Right. Joe Biden had nothing to do with this. It's bullshit. Anyway, so why would you want to, get him on the stand then at Trump's impeachment trial? How does he relate? He doesn't. Okay, it's just to distract from people so that they could get him in the news, right? And here's what would have happened if they would have done that. All right, Joe Biden's testimony would have been public. John Bolton's would not be public. Which one is going to get the news headline? It's bullshit. All right. So anyway, all that was voted down. Subpoenas to get John Bolton and Mick Mulvaney and Mike Pompeo, all those guys voted down. So just remember that, in a couple of days when they vote to acquit, remember that the Republicans, along party lines, right, voted to not allow witnesses and to not allow any testimony from any, witnesses or new documents, subpoenas for documents, right? Did they do this in the Clinton impeachment? No, I seem to remember in the Clinton impeachment that Monica Lewinsky testified, John Vernon Jr., Sidney Blumenthal. These guys testified. I mean, yeah, it was like tape-recorded testimony, right? But they still got to hear them as witnesses, right? And I also remember the Clinton White House providing 90,000 pages of documents added as evidence, right? You know how many the Trump White House have provided? Zero documents, right? There's subpoenas for 70 records that they just ignored, So, and there's nothing they could do about it. It's like, well, they send out a subpoena, right? The White House illegally refuses to obey the subpoena, right? Congress then chooses to not exercise its power to jail people for not following the law. What are we supposed to do, right? That's why it's not going to work. It's bullshit. It's a sham trial. Okay, I mean, they should start throwing people in jail for not following their subpoenas, but they're not going to do that because they're fucking pussies. Let's be real about this, man. The Democrats are fucking pussies. All right, it's bullshit. But anyway, let's get back to the trial here. So yeah, so now none of that shit's going to happen, right? There's also talk of Lev Parnas being called to testify. Now, this would happen after all of this shit, when they finally do debate to allow witnesses, and if they do by some miracle vote to allow witnesses, which they won't, but if they do, then they would call Lev Parnas, and the White House is trying to stop that by saying that, it's national security. That's bullshit. That's a developing thing, which I don't even think it'll get to that point, because I don't think that they're going to vote to allow witnesses, because if they do, then it's going to make them look bad when they vote to acquit. So you got to remember, okay, there is pretty much a 0% chance that Trump is going to be convicted, not from Republicans, right? It's not going to happen. They need like 67 senators, right? So they would need, how many is that? Like 20 additional Republicans to vote to. No, not going to happen ever, right? But their whole game plan here is to give themselves justification as to why that won't, as to why they won't vote to convict, to remove him from office, because the evidence says that he fucking did it. And it's like anybody, everybody in the polls saying the majority of people want him to be removed. The evidence, even the evidence that they have, the pathetic small amount of evidence that they're allowing, says that he did it. We have this guy Lev Parnas going around, spilling the beans, talking about how he's surveilling like the ambassador to the Ukraine and shit like that. Right? He fucking did it. We know he did it. He's guilty, but their entire game now is to give themselves, plausible deniability as to why they are not going to vote to remove him. It's a joke, right? Anyway, so let's just kind of look at some of these rules here. Okay, so we already went over, they have the 24 hours, right? One of the other things is that they were originally not going to admit any evidence into from the House impeachment inquiry. They weren't going to allow any of that evidence into this trial without it being voted on. Which, I mean, if he was innocent, you would think that they would want to have all of this evidence because it would show that he didn't do it. But that's why they weren't going to allow that at first, right? Because it shows that he did it. You got to remember, like, every step of the way here points to Trump being guilty, So that, thankfully, is all being admitted, you know. But there's a concession there, right? So all of that evidence from the House impeachment inquiry is being admitted, right? But unless the president's team makes a motion to throw it out. I'm going to make a prediction, and I'm going to say there is a 100% chance that the president's team makes this motion to throw out this evidence. Right? That's now whether it gets thrown out or not, is a different story. But I'm guaranteeing, I'm calling it right now. They're going to say they're going to make this motion to throw out all the evidence from the House trial. Why would they not? Why would they not? Why would they put that provision in there if they weren't planning on doing it? Okay, it's ridiculous. And you know what that's like? That's like you going to trial for murder, and then the judge saying that your defense team has the right to throw out all the evidence that the police department gathered. Right? For no reason. Not because it was gathered wrong or you didn't get read your rights or, whatever. No. That's complete bullshit. That's not how trials are supposed to work. Okay? This is not a normal trial. People got to remember that shit. It's so ridiculous. So absolutely ridiculous. And there's other little weird rules too. Like, they're not allowed to have anything in the, any drinks besides milk and water. Right? The whole time they're there. Now, think about that. Like, why? Why is that specifically in the rules? Only milk and only water. Well, it's to make it as uncomfortable as possible. Right? You notice on that list is not coffee. They're not allowing coffee. Right? Why? Because coffee would keep you awake. And they don't want the senators to stay awake all night. They want it to drag on throughout the night. That's why they only wanted 2 days originally. Remember that. They want it to drag on all night. They want the senators to get tired. And they want them to be there. And it's like, it's 2 a.m. I just want to go home. Fuck it. Let's go. That's what they want. They wanted to make this process, the Republicans now, want to make this process as long, as uncomfortable, as a grueling, and a big pain in the ass as possible for everyone involved, even themselves, so that they just want to get it over with. It's like so utterly fucking transparent. Absolutely ridiculous, I don't know. I mean, you would think, like, why not? Why not? You're allowed to have a Snapple or, like, a Starbucks or coffee or something. No. Bullshit, all right? So, anyway, you can kind of see now in the news and stuff, it's funny because even though all of this shit, all of this is going on and evidence and how it's so blatantly, completely, totally biased and it's a fucking monkey court, right? Monkey court. It's a monkey trial, right? Even, somebody, if you're conservative with a brain, you should be able to understand that this is a monkey trial. The conservatives are doing their best, showbiz to, like, misdirect everybody, right? Into it's the whole thing is farce. I don't know. It's a farce. It's a farce because they're making it a farce, all right? And you got to remember this. This is all, like, just for show. There's zero intention on the Republican side of actually taking any of this evidence, seriously. Like, it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they allow witnesses. It doesn't matter if they allow evidence, right? They're still going to vote to acquit, right? And I can't really say this enough. This is also that they can point to it later on and justify that decision. That's this entire thing. Because to some people that actually does matter. There are Republicans out there with integrity, believe it or not. Right? The normal, ordinary people out there who vote Republican, they're not like this. Okay? Well, actually, wait, I'm going to rephrase that. I would say about half of them have integrity, right? And those usually come from the pro-corporate family values people, right? The people that believe in hard work and really genuinely believe that you should work hard and all that, and that and that it's not like not has nothing to do with racism or anything like that. And they genuinely believe that having a welfare state is bad for people because they've been brainwashed, or maybe that's just whatever values they fucking have or whatever, and they're not coming at it from a racist angle, right? Now it's hard for people on the left to actually understand that, but it's true, because it's very apparent to all of us. Quiet, dog. It's my dog back there growling. It's very apparent to all of us where the motivations for a lot of conservative policies come from. Whether it's a pro corporate thing, or whether it's basically dividing people based on racism and sexism and class, shit like that. It's very something like, for example, welfare. The conservative predilection to be opposed to welfare. You know, and the real reason, right, that it's because there's multiple reasons, right? One reason is because the rich, cock, Koch brothers types don't want to pay taxes, right? So they want to cut taxes, and they don't, the easiest way to do that is to get rid of social programs, right? Because they don't want to cut defense spending or anything like that. So they go, okay, how do we cut taxes but maintain, defense spending? Well, you have to cut something, so you end up cutting social programs, right? So that's the first thing. The second reason is because a lot of racism. Basically, a lot of white people out there are totally fine with social programs as long as they help other white people. And there's this, that's why they came up with that stereotype of the welfare queen, right? And it's funny because I don't even have to say what race the welfare queen is. In your head right now at home watching this, you already know what I'm talking about. It's a whistle, wolf, fucking whistle thing. What the fuck is the name of that? For basically generations now, that the Reagan people came up with. This idea of this welfare queen with 7 kids living off the dole. Quiet. Anyway, but we're getting off here. But I want to say, there are Republicans out there that are not motivated by those things, right? And those are the people that are going to see this sham trial. And if it's too much of a sham, if it's so much of a sham that they can't lie to themselves and say it's fair, right? Then that's going to sour their support in the next election. And the next election is going to come along, and they're going to be like, yeah, I'm not voting this time. And because that's what happened in 2008, if you remember, 8 years of lies and trickery and misdirection, and covering up crimes of the Bush administration, right, led us to, at the end of the Bush administration, it led us to a complete disaster, where at the end it was just like, we had 2 wars going at once. The housing market imploded, right? The banking industry was burning down. Our money was worth nothing, right? People were being laid off left and right. If you remember that was the accumulation of 8 years of bad leadership, right? And that soured people so much that even if you didn't have Barack Obama running for president in 2008, even if it was Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or whoever, they still would have won. Okay? They would have won hard because the Republicans destroyed their brand so much by supporting this bad leadership that got us into so much trouble, right? The same shit is happening again. and they know it's happening again. And the predictions are not looking really good for Trump in the next election, you know. But even if he wins, it's even worse for the GOP as a whole. You know, there's a very good chance that Trump might actually get a boost out of this after they vote to not, convict and go on to win the presidency, right? Again, right? There's a very good chance that might happen, but whether that translates into GOP wins on the down ticket is not a guaranteed thing, right? Because that happens. That's been known to happen too. Incumbent president wins a second term while, the House and Senate go to the opposing, party, right? And if that shit happens, his next 4 years are going to be hell, and they're going to impeach him again, and they might actually do it this time, right? Because don't think this is the last time. If this doesn't work, he's broken plenty of laws that are impeachable, and if he wins another, another term without Congress, then it's on again. Okay, but anyway, now you got to remember all this, right? I don't know. Like, one thing I want to talk about, let's see, we're about 30 minutes in. One thing I do want to talk about is the arguments you're seeing from conservatives and Republicans and things and people as to what this, why this impeachment trial is a sham, and, basically arguments in defense of the president. So this is usually how it goes when Republicans break the law. It usually goes like this, okay? They usually say, at first, he didn't do it. They deny everything. He didn't do it. It's all a conspiracy. It's a witch hunt, right? Whatever. And that's something that you've been hearing from the Trump people over and over and over again. It's a witch hunt, witch hunt. They're just trying to overturn the election. They can't believe they lost, blah, 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 blah. Then, when the evidence comes out and it shows that he actually did do it, right, then they switch to, well, he may have done something, but it's not illegal. Okay. Yeah, okay, well, he may have put the screws to this president of, the Ukraine or whatever, but what he did was not illegal. No, that's just normal stuff that all presidents do. All presidents hold back congressionally approved money for foreign aid in order to get, foreigners to investigate their political opponents. Yeah, that's just a completely normal fucking thing. Right. And that's, but, the evidence doesn't lie and keeps going on. Keeps, you'll keep seeing more and more evidence coming out that any rational person would have to conclude that he's guilty. So then the story changes to, well, okay, he did it and it's illegal, but who cares? And that's where they're at right now. And there's one thing that I do want to show you here. Let's see. Actually, nah, let's stay away from that. But that is kind of where it is. You're starting to see people, say, in fact, there was something, in fact, no, I do want to find that. There was a thing for Reince Priebus, who was the former head of the RNC, right? And let's see, let me go to my history here. Go there, go to my library, right? And he went on the, there it goes. Here's the so what defense. All right. So this guy, Reince Priebus, right?
There's a little doubt.
Wait, let me pause that. This guy, Reince Priebus, went on Hannity's show, right? And basically laid out this so what defense, Now this is important, okay, because this is kind of a change of tactics here. Now they're basically admitting that what he did it and it was illegal, right? They can't defend it, so now they're basically going, who cares? Okay. So this is actually, yeah, I'm going to use this little clip here. Let me just open that guy up, bring that over here. You get to see all my open tabs. I'm going to shrink myself real quick so you can kind of see this video. And after this thing gets published and all that shit, I'll put a link to this actual video I'm using. Right. So this guy right here, this sort of like smiling bowling pin clown looking dude. Like his face looks like it's painted onto a bowling pin, or maybe like a freshly shaved dick, you know. This guy is Reince Priebus. Okay. This is Devin Nunes right here, I think. I don't know. It looks like Devin Nunes. God, this guy has a punch bowl face, doesn't he? You know what he looks like, Devin Nunes? He looks like Littleface from Dick Tracy. Like, in fact, before we do this, I'm just going to look up Littleface Dick Tracy. Take a look at this guy, all right? All right? This is Littleface right here. Okay. I don't know. That to me kind of looks like where is that? Where is that? Here we go. Kind of looks like him. Look how small his fucking face is. Anyway, and then you got smug ass fucking Sean Hannity right here. So yeah, let's hear what this guy's got to say.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And guess what? Sometimes the best defense is the so what defense, which is if everything the Democrats said is true, it's still not impeachable. If everything Les Parnas has said is true, it's still not impeachable. I mean, that's what this is about.
Yeah, it's still not impeachable. Why? All right. So you know, just think about what this guy just said. Okay, it's all true. He did it. All right, he did what he did is all true. It's illegal. Okay, but it's still not impeachable. Why? Because he's a Republican. That's why. Because they don't give a fuck. So that's something you got to remember. Like the Republicans don't care about the GOP. These senators, they don't have integrity. They don't give a fuck. All right. Let me close this monitor and make myself a little bigger here. I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you all because I just find that it's amazing, and it's kind of like this same process every single time. Every single time that a Republican does something wrong, it goes through that same cycle. He didn't do it. Okay, he may have done it, but it's not illegal. Okay, it's illegal. So what? Who cares? Every fucking time. I don't know. Some other things you're hearing, abuse of power is not impeachable. That's another thing that a talking point that all the Republicans and shit are saying, which is, that was something Laura Ingraham said. I think. I don't know. Was it Laura Ingraham? I don't know. I could be wrong there. But that's ridiculous too. Abuse of power is what impeachment was made for. That's exactly what this is. What does abuse of power mean anyway? It's when you use your office for your own personal gain, okay? And any job you have, you're not supposed to use your job for your own personal gain. All right, let's say that you're a salesman, okay, and you sell, I don't know, vacuum cleaners, okay, and then you notice that the vacuum cleaner uses a component that you can strip out and sell for more money than the vacuum's worth, right? Then you go and you buy all the vacuum cleaners and you strip out all those components and then sell them on the black market, right? Then your boss finds out you're doing that and fires you. Okay, you're not supposed to do that. That's a fireable offense. Like, here's another example. Let's say that you're a vacuum cleaner seller, and the factory that makes the vacuum cleaners has a bunch of broken ones, that are just slightly scuffed or whatever, right? And they sell them to you at a discount. You take those and you resell them on eBay for full price. That's another thing that you get fired for. See, you're not supposed to do shit like that. That's integrity. If you're going to do that, what you're supposed to do in that situation is go to your boss and say, hey, this component is too expensive. Take it out. Get a cheaper one. Raise the price of your vacuum cleaner. You're losing money. Right. Or that second thing, you're not supposed to take the vacuums and resell them. You get fired for shit. Like, that's basically abuse of power in a very, very, very simple metaphor. Abuse of power. Another example of that, abuse of power, like a police officer who, beats the crap out of a witness and then forces them to testify, even though the person they're testifying against may have been guilty or not. It doesn't matter. You're not supposed to beat the shit out of a witness. You're not supposed to bribe them. You're not supposed to threaten them, anything like that. That's abuse of power, Um, a politician, a mayor of your city. Let's say you have the mayor of your city, and he's going to develop a commercial center. He's going to give, permits for a commercial center to develop some land. Before he does that, he goes and he buys controlling stock in the company that's developing the land. And then they develop the land, their stock goes way up, he cashes out, makes $1 million. Abuse of power. Right? That's 100%. You're not supposed to use it for your own personal benefit. Another one. Okay, another one. You become the mayor of your city, right? And you have this neighbor who's a complete asshole, has this barking dog and stuff that keeps you up all night, and the guy throws garbage over your back gate into your backyard and stuff, and he's always parking in front of your house and having his fucking loud ass fucking parties all night and shit like that. You fucking hate him, right? And so you get elected mayor of your town, and you direct the police chief to start using cops to harass this guy. Cops start pulling him over all the time. They start giving him tickets. Surprise house inspection to show up, crap like that, right? That's abuse of power. You're not supposed to use your power to get revenge on people that you don't like. Especially if they're not doing anything that's illegal. Okay, that's abuse. That's exactly what impeachment was intended for. Okay, high crimes and misdemeanors, right? All of that stuff. Using congressionally allocated money, withholding that money from foreign aid from a foreign country, and then pressuring the president of that country to investigate your political opponent is abuse of power. Okay, and you got to remember, see, because another thing that they'll say is, okay, well, this is all about investigating, corruption in the Ukraine, and he's legitimately wanted to not give them money if they were going to be, corrupt and all that stuff, and blah 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 blah. He wanted to make sure our money was going to, what it was supposed to, and that's really what it was about. It wasn't about, any kind of pressure. It was just to get rid of corruption in Ukraine. First off, Trump doesn't give a fuck about the corruption in Ukraine. We all know that. Okay, please don't even try to pretend. But secondly, you got to remember that he didn't actually want there to be a real investigation. He just wanted the president of the Ukraine to announce that there was going to be an investigation. He didn't care if there was actually going to be one. He just wanted the announcement, because then it would get in the news and it would make Joe Biden look bad, because at the time Joe Biden was #1 in the polls, consistently beating Trump in the polls. Okay. Now, if this were to happen today, it would be about Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders is now #1 in the polls, and he also consistently beats Trump. That's what. So you got to remember that it's not really about corruption in the Ukraine. It was about getting an announcement of an investigation for political reasons. All right, which is ridiculous, and it's kind of ironic too, because the Ukraine has now announced an investigation into the surveillance of the ambassador Marie Yovanovitch, right? Because Rudy Giuliani had goons trailing her. I don't know if you heard that. If you heard that story, basically this guy Lev Parnas was like following the ambassador around and doing live surveillance of her and shit like that. With all these handwritten notes that kind of imply that they were going to do something nefarious. What the fuck are they going to do? Kill her? Right? Why would they even have to do that? Why were they following her around? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Ridiculous, right? I mean, you got to think, okay, what if during the Clinton impeachment trial, anything even close to this even happened? What do you think would have happened if they voted to not allow any witnesses during Clinton's impeachment? What if they said, okay, we're not going to give any documents at all? Too bad. All right. And yeah, you've only got 3 days, and it's going to go late into the night. Do you think any of no, it wouldn't have happened. Okay. It wouldn't have happened, number one, because Democrats are weak, right? But also, they have integrity. You know why Democrats have integrity? Because we, the Democratic voters, have integrity. All right, we do. We don't have the same kind of loyalty to any candidate that the Trump supporters have to Trump. You know, if it came out tomorrow that Bernie Sanders was a thief and a sexual abuser, you know, the same way that Trump, you know, the same kind of allegations against Trump, if those same kind of allegations showed up against Bernie Sanders, that he was ripping people off and using charities to buy fucking portraits of himself and like sexually assaulting women or, you know, raping a 13-year-old girl, shit like that, we'd abandon his ass in a nanosecond. He'd be gone. It's out. The end. Right? We'd have to support somebody else. Right? You know, we don't have that kind of cult of personality across any one of our candidates because we never had, even Obama didn't have that. All right? There are a lot of people that didn't like Obama. Okay? If you look, Obama's second term when he got elected, the you know, his numbers were way lower as far as like the numbers of actual votes that he got. You know, it went down a lot, and it was just, you know, and mainly I kind of like attribute that to the novelty effect. You know, the novelty of having a black president wore off. But even then, by then, it's like, okay, he's already had 4 years to piss people off. He still managed to win. And if you look at the number of Republican votes, right, that John McCain got in 2008, and then, you know, fucking, what's his name? I can't even remember his name. You know, the guy that ran against Obama, you know, got in 2012, you know, the Mormon guy, whatever the fuck his name was. And then the number of votes that Donald Trump got, it's roughly the same. I think it goes up by something like 2 million, right? You know, so I think they got something like 41 million in 2008, and then by 2016 they got like 43 million, right? But if you look at the Democratic number of Democratic votes, you know, 2008 it shoots way up, you know, and then it kind of goes down a little bit, and then Hillary Clinton goes even lower, but she still got like 46 million votes. She still got 3 million more than Trump, and it shows that there are more of us than there are of them. Okay, number one. Right. It just so happens that we're concentrated in cities. Okay. But still, there are far more people who are rational, who believe in the truth, who want to see the truth, and they want to see our politicians have integrity, right, on our side than there are on their side. Okay. Something you got to remember, right? Because the Republicans don't have integrity. You know, do you think any of the Trump supporters right now were out there watching this? Do you think they give a fuck? Do you think, first off, do you think they're even watching it? No, they're not watching. Are they paying attention to any of the stuff in the news? You know, the Senate trial rules or any of that? Fuck no, they don't care. They don't care. They don't care. You got to remember this. They do not care. There is no integrity on the Republican side at all. It's all just denial, denial and excuses, and plug in their ears. Nah, 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 nah. I can't hear anything. That's exactly what it is. They're pretending that it's all a sham, and the thing is, they all fucking know. They all know that it's bullshit. They all know that Trump actually fucking did it, right? They're too far gone. They're too far invested into the mythology now, right? It's like a cult, you know. That guy that, you know, the video that I just showed you, you know, was from Ring of Fire Radio, right? And then the guy that you know, runs that show says that all the time. You know, it's a cult, right? And he's right. He's absolutely fucking right. You know, here's another video I want to show you guys of Trump supporters here, basically threatening, right? And this is kind of a somewhat famous video here. Trump supporters threatening that they're going to, you know, there's going to be violence if they fucking, like, you know, remove Trump. So this is from CBS News. And I want to go ahead and play this, right? I know this came out a little while ago, about last month, but, you know, just watch these guys. If you haven't seen this before, it's pretty fucking crazy. I'm pretty sure if you have, you know, if you follow my channel, you've probably seen this already. But I think it bears watching again.
He's not going to be removed. He's not going to be removed. He's not going to be removed.
Do you feel confident in that?
My 357 Magnum is comfortable with that. End of story.
Look at that guy. All right. Look at that fucking guy. Okay. First off, how old is this dude? Right? What are you, like 75 there, buddy? I mean, what the fuck are you gonna do with your 357 Magnum? And let's say that it happened, all right? Let's say that, they actually managed, by some miracle, they managed to remove Trump. What's this guy gonna do? Is he gonna go shoot somebody? Who's he gonna shoot? Right. What, is he gonna shoot fucking Adam Schiff? Is he gonna go kill, like, I don't know. Is he gonna go shoot Nancy Pelosi? Probably not. He's probably gonna go down to his local mall, see somebody who he thinks is gay or Jewish, and shoot him. That's what's gonna happen. Okay. Look at this dude. Look at his eyes right there. Unbelievable. Okay, let's continue on.
End of story.
And they remove him in the Senate. Mm-hmm. I think it'll cause physical violence in this country that we haven't seen since the first Civil War. I think it'll become the second Civil War.
Here's another one. Okay, so a lot of us on the left here, we have trouble understanding that black people would support Trump. Okay. Because there are black people that support Trump. There's Asians that support Trump. There's Jewish people that support Trump. There's Latinos that support Trump, right? And we here kind of don't understand that, because we kind of see, it's apparent to us the basically racism, white supremacy that they use to divide people with, and a lot of his policies, things like Muslim bans, the transgender ban from the military, stuff like that, fucking Steve Bannon. Okay? Like, we're able to see all that and be like, God, how can you not see it? And I just want to, here's this guy right here. And admittedly, this dude is not ranting and raving like the guy right before him. This guy is probably not someone who's going to go get a gun and shoot someone if Trump is removed. But, he's also worried there. Yeah, it'll be the second Civil War. Right. And I'm pretty sure this guy has seen it in his friends and and people at Trump rallies. He's seen the bottled up violence, the impotent rage that these people have, that they're just waiting for an excuse to fucking go out and live their, post-apocalyptic fantasies. Right. And I don't know, man. And it's like, this is the kind of guy that we should reach out to. Like, why are you supporting this guy? Okay. He doesn't care about you. Look at what his policies are doing. All right. Look at how he lies. Look at his personal life. Look at how he lies. Look at all of the shit that he does that is fucking destroying this country. And look at how his supporters want to create a fucking white ethno-state that you would have no place in. Okay. Why are you supporting this fucking person? All right. What values does Donald Trump have that you share? What values? Fuck poor people. Is that a value that you share with them? Women are objects, that are just like there to be used and thrown away. Is that a value that you share with Trump? Right. Rich people shouldn't have to pay any taxes at all to anything, or not responsible for anyone or any maintenance at all for their society that, made them rich. Is that a value that you share with Trump? Right? Fuck Muslims. Is that one? I mean, seriously. This is the guy. These are the people that we should reach out to nicely. Anyway, moving on.
I would think that there would be a strong movement. It would be very negative. Possible violence. Not that I'm condoning violence. There'll be a lot of mad Americans. Possibly 70 million Americans on the loose, not very happy.
No, first off, there's no way. All right, 70 to 80 million, not even close. No. He didn't even get that many voters. Right. What did he get? Something like 43 million people voted for him, something like that. Not even close. Okay. Actually, I'm going to look that up because I want to be sure. Let's see. Let's see, 2016 Trump votes. I want to see exactly how many he got, because I don't want to sit here and say, like, 43 or whatever, when I could be, like, totally wrong. So, oh, here you go, 62. Okay. And then she got 65. All right, so then I want to look at, let's say presidential election, right? And I want to look at a history of presidential elections here. Let's see. Let's look at 2012. 2012. The zero on my keyboard is not working. Presidentially. I can spell. There we go. Electoral calendar. All right, let's see. No, I want to look at, let's see, 2012 popular vote. Did I misspell popular? I did, didn't I? What can I say, folks? Let's see. Election 2012, 12th Senate to win. Okay, is it going to give us the popular vote? Okay, now I want you to look at that. All right. Romney, 60 million. Okay. Obama, 65. All right. So the last one, what did Trump have? 62 million or, 63 million. And then Hillary had like 3 million more, right? So now let's look at, let's actually, oh wait, we got it right here. All right. So they had 65, Trump had 62. So, right. Romney here, 2012, 60 to 65, right? Let's go to 2008. Look at that. Obama, 69. McCain, 59. So you can kind of see what I'm talking about. The increase on the Republican side is not that much. All right. I'm good. I'm glad I looked that up, because I'm sitting here saying 43 this whole time. I was like totally wrong. But I want to point that out. See this here, 69. That's what we need. Okay. That's the kind of numbers that we got to pull every time to get around the Republican rat fuckery. Anyhow, let's go back to this.
What we're seeing is a divided country. Both sides are dug in. No one's budging. We have families torn apart. It's including my family. My daughters are liberal. I'm conservative. Now that this whole thing has been going on, we just had a problem at Thanksgiving. Very unfortunate. I wish it never would have happened. This whole mess we're in.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for that guy. Maybe you shouldn't talk about fucking politics during Thanksgiving, right? But that person, I don't think that person would be violent. Right. But see, this is what you got to understand. See, this dude right here that we just saw, is not a rabid, insane Trump supporter person. This guy is not throwing up white supremacist fucking signals, marching at night with tiki torches and shit like that, because they're going to take down Confederate statues. This guy's not doing any of that stuff, right? He's not. That's the problem. He's not, he's not a raging wild racist, as far as we can see from that video. Right. He's old. He's probably voted conservative his entire life. Right. And he's not informed. He doesn't understand that the conservatives he grew up with in the 70s and 80s are not the same as they are today. All right. Back then, in the pre-Reagan era, they had integrity. They cared about the country. Right. They knew that if they tried to pull the kind of shenanigans that they did today, that they'd get voted out of office and probably go to jail. And the reason why is because they didn't have an entire conservative alternate media universe to support them. There was no Fox News in the 70s, in the 80s, during the Nixon thing in the 70s. There was no Fox News, There wasn't an entire AM radio empire of Rush Limbaugh fucking imitators, making excuses for them and brainwashing their base. This is why Trump's approval rating never goes below 39%, because he's got that that alternate, that's what it is. It's an alternate media universe feeding lies and misinformation to people, right? And that's why he's going to get through this. Okay. So, another case in point, this woman right here.
You do something wrong. It doesn't appear to me that you did. But I think it's going to be very hard for people to change anyone's mind. If you're a Trump supporter, I'll speak for myself. As a Trump supporter, I believe him. And I don't believe that he's dumb enough to say something in front of all those people that would actually get him in trouble.
But he did. Right? He did say those things. Okay, we have evidence that he said these things. We have people wanting to testify that he did these things. We have documents that say that he did these things. Right? Why doesn't this woman know? Why doesn't she know? Okay? Because she's indoctrinated into the alternate universe, the alternate Republican media universe. She gets her information from the Fox Newses and, Media One or whatever they're called, and AM radio, and all those people that just lie to her constantly every single day, telling her untruths. This woman, look at her. She doesn't look to be racist, does she? Not to me. She's not doing any Sig Heils or any shit like that. She doesn't have a shaved head with tattoos all over her. All right, she's not drinking milk with the OK sign or any shit like that. She's not doing any. She doesn't look at it. This is like a normal fucking person. Okay, a normal person who was conservative probably her entire life, probably a Christian, probably actually believes it too. She probably is a very nice person that goes to church and on Sundays and shit like that and donates to homeless shelters and blah 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 blah, and really thinks that and keeping conservative values is good for the country. And she doesn't understand that the person she's supporting is a liar and a thief and a philanderer, right? Who would sell her down the river for a fucking peanut if he got the chance, right? He doesn't understand that Donald Trump would kick her, if she was dangling off of a cliff, right? And someone gave him $100 bills to kick her, he'd be stomping on her fucking fingers to because he doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't care. Okay? She doesn't understand that the people that she's supporting do not have integrity anymore. They don't have to have integrity. They have Fox News. Right? There's one more person we want to talk about.
I don't think he's gonna get impeached. I really don't agree. He's like the best president. It's not gonna work.
He's the best president ever. It's not gonna work out. This is partially our fault, right? For not taking control of the narrative. Okay? That's really what this is. Okay? This is our fault for us. And when I say all our fault, I mean us, the liberals, right? The liberals, the left, the Democrats, right? The progressives. This is our fault for not being, for not taking control of the narrative out there. The Republicans own the narrative, okay, on these things. That's what we need to do. That's how you can help, okay? Besides voting, right, which you should vote every fucking election for everything, right? Number one. It doesn't matter if you're voting for a dog catcher. You should be voting, okay? Even if your choice is between, like in South Park, a giant douche or a turd sandwich, you should be voting for the one that's less damaging to the country. All right? But you should also be in there, politically active early on in the primary process so that your choice is not a giant douche or a turd sandwich, right? Get in there, support people with integrity. Even if they don't always 100% match up with your everything that you agree with all of your politics, even if it's only 50%, that's better. That's better than having the guy that matches with 0%. Okay. Anyway, we'll come to that in a minute. But the other way that, that's the first way that you can help vote every single year. The other way that you can help is by capturing the narrative. Okay. get out there, be active, right? Debate people on the internet, okay? You know, make videos, go into bulletin boards, and you have to, in order to do this, you have to actually go to the places where Republicans and conservatives congregate. Sorry if you hear noises and shit. Those like my cats running around and stuff, you know, because I'm talking. So since I'm like being active, they got to be active. I should probably get a microphone. Anyway, noise canceling microphone. I should probably get one of those. You know, be active, and you got to go and you have to engage these people, right? Because you got to remember they're in a bubble, you know. And okay, to some extent, we're all in a bubble. All right, because that's what people are going to say. And whenever you say that, then the thing that they turn around and they go, well, we're all in a bubble. Yes, it's true. I am in a bubble as well. You're in a bubble, right? We all have a bias, okay? And it just so happens that our bias is less biased than their bias, okay? Our bias is in favor of reality, okay? More so than the conservative bias. All right, and you still get people on the left who are crazy. Don't get me wrong. You still get nutbags. You still get crazy anti-vax people and health nuts and people who believe in power crystals and shit like that. You know, I'm not saying that there aren't wacky people on the left, or there aren't people who believe too much in whatever type of little teeny, subset of anarchism or whatever. Right, or communism or whatever. There are people that are too crazy, lots of crazy people on the left as well. I'm not gonna say that there isn't. Let me just center that a little more. This shit's bugging me, sorry. But what I am, okay. But what I am saying is that on the left, generally people do not deny reality as much as they do on the right. Our bubble is a little bit larger, and it's a little bit more rational, and we tend to hold our politicians a little more accountable than the people on the right. We don't have a machine. On the right, there's this machine that they have where, everybody who watches Hannity will also go buy this book. They'll buy his books and shit like that, and then they'll all watch this other show, and then they'll have on Ann Coulter, and then they'll all watch that, and then they'll all watch her books, and it's like this self-reinforcing cycle of bullshit that they have. We don't have that on the right. That's how people all of these pundits and shit can keep going on the right. All these people who sit there and spout bullshit. You wonder, what the fuck do they do all day? What the fuck is their name? All these pundits and stuff on the right. What are their jobs when they're not, going on TV? Especially the ones that don't have their own radio shows and stuff like that. What are their jobs when they're not making media appearances, right? How do they get funding? It's because they have this cycle of bullshit. Well, we don't have that on the left, all right? And that's what I think that's a major problem, is that because they have this reinforcing industry of alternate reality news, they're able to focus on an issue and keep it in the news and keep the narrative going for months and months and months. An example of this during the last election, when they had a news story came up about a caravan of people marching from South America to the border. Do you remember that? Right? It was a non-story. It was bullshit. It was basically fake news is what it was, because this kind of thing happens all the time. People are always coming to the southern border. But, conservative news focused on this one group of 600 people, and it was in the news every fucking day, and everybody talked about it. And, people went on Sean Hannity and they talked about it, and Ann Coulter talked about it, and then these assholes on the internet talked about it, and then InfoWars got in on it, and it was just constantly, until all you could fucking see out there were these people talking about this stupid fucking caravan that when they got to the border, they didn't even do anything, because that's what happens all the time. And there were all these bullshit stories about how they were sneaking in terrorists and they were sneaking in drugs, and, they had Ebola and all this crazy, ridiculous horse shit. Then the minute the election's over, all that's gone. What happened to that? Gone. Who cares? Because it was just there to distract people from the election. That's what it was for. But that's an example right there. You know, that's how they control the narrative. Well, we need to do that. We need to control the narrative ourselves. Okay. Every once in a while, you'll see something pop up, like people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is really good at that. She'll say something, it'll get tweeted, everybody will repeat it, and it'll be in the news, right? And that's the thing. When you get that's cat's crazy. That was my cat running down. Okay. When you get shit like that in the news, it gets people talking about it. When people are talking about shit on TV, people at home are talking about it. Okay. You know why? Because people at home talk about shit they saw on TV. That's how it works. Okay. I don't know if you ever, you have your job, you go to your water cooler, you go to the coffee room, and people start bullshitting about what they watched last night, right? That's how you get people talking, is that you have to get it out there. You have to get your message out there. The Republicans and the conservatives are really good at staying on message and getting it in the news cycle and controlling the narrative. That's the number one thing, well, the number two thing besides voting that you can help do. And you can do this at home. You can do it. Debate people, tweet things, retweet people, right? Go on Facebook and post shit. Okay, make videos. Who's someone who's like a positive example of this is ContraPoints. ContraPoints. If you haven't seen her videos, right? She's a genius at this, right? Of arguing, this is what ContraPoints does. She'll take something that's a, trans related issue and she'll argue it, pros and cons, right? And then she'll lay out and she'll make characters that'll give opposing sides. And it's funny, and it's entertaining, and it's informative, and ContraPoints is really good at it, and ContraPoints is actually changing people's minds, right? I know there's a bunch of shit about canceling and all that. Fuck all that. I'm not even going to comment on that. I still support ContraPoints. ContraPoints is awesome. I love her. Seriously, right? That's the kind of shit that, perfect example. Another one is Vosh, this guy Vosh, right? That basically all Vosh does is he just does live streams and comments on things. And the thing is that he's really, really good at it. He's really good at it. He's really a really quick thinker. He knows exactly what to say at the right time. And it's entertaining. It's entertaining watching him, but it's not just entertaining, it's informative, right? That's what we got to do. We need people like them, and help capture the narrative, because you can't rely, don't rely on the politicians to do it themselves, because they won't. They won't. This is a perfect example, this impeachment thing of how they're going to screw it up, right? They're going to screw it up because, they're weak, on the Democratic side. They're fucking weak as hell, The guy from Young Turks, I can't remember his name, but he says that, Democrats are paid to lose. And when you see shit like this impeachment trial, you kind of wonder, like, yeah, that's probably true, right? Anyway, okay, folks, this has been going for, God, what is it? It's been an hour. I think this is a good stopping point. Just want to end this with, in a couple of days, this whole thing's going to be over with, and Trump is going to be acquitted. He's not going to be removed from office, right? And just remember it. Just remember what happened, Remember what a sham this whole thing was. We knew it was going to be a sham going in. We knew it was going to be bullshit. We knew the Republicans were going to do everything they could to fuck this up, and they are. And remember that when it comes time to vote, because in the election, they're going to point to this and say, see, he was innocent all along. The whole thing was a witch hunt, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. No, it's not true. Don't let it go. Argue with people. It doesn't fucking matter, right? You remember also that they don't care. They don't have integrity, right? They'll lie straight to your fucking face, and they don't give a fuck, okay? And their supporters don't know, all right? I'm not going to sit here and say that Trump supporters are stupid, because they're not. We saw that video right now, those Trump supporters we were watching. Those people aren't dumb, okay? Not the ones they showed there. Some of them are dumb. But, maybe that first guy who was, like, ranting about how he's going to shoot people. Maybe that guy's a fucking idiot. The other people there, the old guy and the old lady and the young kid, those aren't bad people, right? You know, but they need somebody to show them what's actually going on out there. And the mainstream media is not going to fucking do it. The conservatives are not, they don't watch that shit anyway. All right, it's got to be you. If someone, the only people that's going to educate these people is you, and the best way you can do that right now, besides going out and talking to somebody one on one, is to do it online. You know, control the narrative. You got to go out there, you got to engage people, and I know a lot of people on the left don't like that. They don't like to engage people. They like to write people off and throw them away and not let them come and talk to you, like, kick them out of their fucking subreddits and shit like that. It's like, no, don't kick them out. Engage them, argue with them, change their minds. That's what we got to do. Hearts and minds, folks. Anyway, this has gone on way too long, so I'm gonna call it quits. Adios, folks.